I volunteered to make cookies for my Quilt Guild Christmas party. So of course, I had to make quilt cookies. Welcome to Eva the Studio. My name is Elizabeth and I help you make beautiful things with quilting, pajagi, and embroidery. When my Quilt Guild was looking for volunteers to bring food to the Christmas party, I signed up to bring cookies. And this was the perfect chance to try out an idea that I've been thinking about for a while. I decided to make quilt cookies. Now, I am not a professional cake and cookie decorator, and I did not have a whole lot of time to invest in this. So I decided to try this using some simple decorating shortcuts that I used and see how it would turn out. For these cookies, I used my favorite roll and cut cookie recipe, which is Grandma's Shortbread, and the recipe is below in the description. But if you're Canadian, you might recognize it, that this is the Grandma's Shortbread recipe that used to be on the Canadian cornstarch box. So this is a recipe that is easy to do, and the cookies turn out very delicious and they melt in your mouth. This cookie dough doesn't have to be chilled, but I decided to chill it a little bit just to make it easier to work with. And then while I was chilling it, I used that time to make the icing. So I don't use royal icing. I have a little cheater icing that I use, and that is just icing sugar with milk. So that makes a little glaze that hardens on the cookies without being royal icing. When the dough was ready, I rolled it out on a floured surface, just like normal. But instead of using cookie cutters, I used a ravioli cutter and a quilting ruler that had been very carefully cleaned. And just like fabric, I cut this dough into 2-inch squares. The ravioli cutter has a wavy edge, so it made the edges of the cookies look like they were cut with pinking shears. Then I carefully transferred the cookies to the baking sheet and cooked them just like normal. These cookies don't spread very much, so even when they're finished baking, they were still pretty close to 2 inches square. When they cooled down, I iced them with this icing, and on some of them I added sprinkles. On some of them, I used a card to cover half of the cookie so that when I used the sprinkles, it gave the effect of half square triangles. So here are all the decorated cookies. Don't worry, I saved some for my kids. Then I just had to lay them out to be the design of the quilt block that I had in mind. So I'm pretty happy with how these turned out. Next time I do this, I will do totally different colors of icing. I won't try and do like gradient dark green, medium green, and I would probably use a different color of icing instead of trying to do the sprinkles. But for this, it turned out really good, and the cookies are melt in your mouth delicious. For actual quilt tutorials and inspiration, you can see my website, evathestudio.com.